3. Testing audio this time, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see here. I want mine to go pretty far. Let's see if we can get a little bit higher than that. We'll go up a little bit higher. A little bit higher, man. My peak, I think, is a little bit too much. All right, we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys can hear me. I'll try to talk a little softer, maybe. I don't know. Probably a little better rendition of my voice. So we're gonna get about to get started here. Let's see if I'm at the right camera angle looking over, because I like to be in my spot that my producer tells me to be in. And yeah, that's about it. So we're currently here. We're working on a chess game. Now, I uploaded a previous video, and I don't think you could really hear my voice all that well. I kind of sucked. And there's something in that video I want to address. And so, without further ado, let's get on with it. Let me address what I want to address. All right, so I won this game. I don't know how. I've been going on a crazy losing streak. And, you know that feeling when you just play and play a rematch, and it just gets tiresome and you're burnt out? I just played the Sicilian. I wasn't going to try for anything, unique. So I just played that Sicilian. We get our stuff out there. They play A6, so I'm assuming they're going for like a Najdorf style thing. Maybe not the exact Najdorf, but similar move order, their own thing. When people say you can't create your own openings, I disagree mainly because the problem with that is like every opening will be classified as similar to some other opening. There's very much restriction in the opening, so every opening is going to quickly get classified. And then if it's like a Najdorf with this is how they're going to describe it. They're not. You can't. But in reality, if you sometimes you'll go into very simple logical conclusions of a very not too much explored variation, and that's like an opening. And it's not even that deep. It's like 3-4 moves that just have never been done before. Maybe even 10, 12 that make perfect sense. And it's like crazy, and they're like engine moves, and it's like weird. So I don't really see that as a plausible. I just don't see that as it doesn't have any credence to me. Now, can anyone answer what exactly I was talking about a few seconds ago? Because I remember we were talking about the Sicilian and what got me on this. I'm wondering. Seriously wondering. Oh, well, there was one thing I wanted to get on. I was like, the feeling of burnout. We'll just go back to that because I don't like what we were talking about before anyway. Um, Basically, I have a few things to straighten up. So I thought I was gonna, yeah, the whole thing about opening classifications, like the Najdorf and the Sicilian and all that. I think you can make your own openings. That's I was gonna avoid it, but I decided no. I think you can make your own openings basically. I mean, like what this is like kind of a Najdorf Sicilian prep. I mean, it's probably a variation. I bet you it's considered a variation. Let's see what it is. Sicilian defense. Yep, can variation or Kari variation. I'm not sure. My looks like can variation, not con can. Sorry, I have to lean in so close. I'm a little blind. So and by that I mean legally and a lot blind. Anyway, so let's do this actually. Let's just for those of you who don't know, the Sicilian is E4, C5, knight F3. Then this guy played. There's a lot of different moves you can play next. A lot of people play E6. A lot of people play B6. I'd say B6 or D6. I mean, B6 is a little more common because I think people like to play the Najdorf, so they can kick the knight off that one square. And that's basically what I study for the most part. But I've also studied I believe, the Kalishnikov. Fun fact: the there's some opening. I forget what it is. What is it? Oh, the Kalishnikov is actually in Russian called the accelerated Sveshnikov. I think that's so. If you're doing the Kalishnikov opening, it's a Kalishnikov Sicilian. You're basically doing the accelerated Sveshnikov. That's what its actual name in Russian was. So that's a fun fact for you. Hopefully you're seriously hearing my voice, man. Real quick, bro. I'm just gonna check my mic levels, okay? We're just gonna check mic levels and all that, and we're just. I just want to look down here and make sure everything's okay. Make sure you're hearing me. Make sure the audio is like what it should be. You know what I mean? Like, I just it needs to be. When I talk, I want it to be heard, and I want you to hear it, and I want it to be clear, but I don't want it to be too overwhelming. So I'm gonna go back to my browser. We're gonna keep this up. Yeah, there's that. I'm wondering how desktop audio works. I mean, it's loud for me when I was playing it on my phone. So that's why I wanted to make this re-upload. So we're gonna go. Not to getting distracted by the names of Sicilians and the various move order you can go do. This guy plays e6, kind of like he's preparing for a French or something. Maybe that might even work in this. You could get some interesting development that way. Maybe not development an interesting quantum structure. So I just put a let him take so that we didn't go into anything unique. And this is typically what I do. I mean, this is a weird start to a knight off, but we're getting there. If he put a knight out the other way, I think this would be like I guess this is all the con variation. I wonder when it becomes. Oh, it was the French variation. So I got the vibe that it was like kind of a mix because since he played e6 and is kind of that kind of pre that assumes that maybe d5 will be later. So like say you've got your like initial space like right here, okay, right there. Now what about like you? So you move that pawn up. Like, what does that imply to me? It implies to me that what your ass is gonna do is you're going to move this one down. That's the French defense. So you're gonna attack me. Okay, so I can reasonably assume that, but at the same time, if we rewind, I had a pawn up here and I took because you played d4. So then basically what happened was this guy took in a fit of furious rage. And yeah, after taking, what happened was a night orf kind of thing. And that's, I think, that's when it turned into con variation. And then nothing seems to change no matter what you do in the con variation of the Sicilian. I want to study the con variation of the Sicilian. I think that's just the con variation of the Sicilian guys. I really think. So look, we need some screen time, okay? The con variation of the Sicilian is something you very much need to know all of the details of. No, I'm just kidding. You probably don't. Now that probably hurt. I just bumped my mic. I'm sorry. I don't know why the other one was so quiet. This one wasn't. Anyway, so we're gonna. So basically, again, the knight does that weird retreat thing when I bring another knight out. It's like, oh wait, I got the wrong thing. I was supposed to do this the entire time. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Did you miss your like the memo? It's like, oh, I wanted this to be a Nordorf. I just didn't know. So basically, you get to this point where the bishop is targeting the queen side, just under the rook, meaning targeting a7, kind of X-raying its own white's X-raying its own knight on d4, and the d4 knight's just kind of chilling, being defended by the queen and all that. But then the three knights, well, it's just also chilling. But the bishop's open; it can go take that pawn, and then get taken by another pawn. So I wouldn't advise that. But the queen is X-raying the knight on d4 to, kind of like defend it. Not X-raying. I'm going to say the bishop is X-raying the knight on d4, looking towards that. So if the knight moves, the bishop has access towards all of that, and that's space in enemy territory, always good. So to illustrate what I'm saying, I forgot. I forget that I have control over these things. So this bishop has control up to there. Actually, it's a post-match observation. It'd be nice if I had this arrow system in my head. where I could just draw an arrow down. Actually, I think it takes about the same amount of time to draw it in my head as it does in real life. Yeah, it really does. Just to draw the arrow down. You just from any location just draw down. Isn't it weird moving in an L shape? I find it bizarre. It's such a strange way to move. Can you imagine you had to move everyone in an L shape? Well, that suck. I can't believe it. I can get to every square noticing that. I know we're getting off topic. That's kind of the point. I'm trying to bring some little comedy here. So when you look at this position, I mean, it's just I did do the whole stereotypical development towards a sort of a Knight Orphy thing. Now they move Queen C or Queen B6, so Queen B6. Not sure if that's a good move or not. Now this is something I if I had support from like this pawn. And then from here, if the knight moves there, it's attacking the queen. I had that thought. Let's see what other things was I thinking about. I was thinking about maybe moving the knight somewhere like here, because I feel like that pawn has a lot of duty. I think it's supposed to actually move down here, and I was thinking maybe I in the future could exploit this area somehow. I just didn't know how quite. I wasn't gonna take that because obvious defense. Um, when I say obvious defense, I mean obvious defense. I mean they're clearly well defended. Now, if you look, knight f3 was unlikely given the placement of the other knight, but they ended up in a weird position anyway. So yeah, I just played queen d2 like I was still in an English attack, and this was a knight orf. But they then went from queen b6 to queen a7, which is just I think they thought they caught on to what I was about to do. Now, what they thought I was about to do, I'm not sure. I think they thought maybe I was about to move the knight and get like some piece to defend and somehow move out my queen and try it for a queen trade. But then I was actually just trying to castle queenside and treat it like I said, like like an Idor. But anyway, what happened is, I was just they brought their bishop out, so they brought normal moves, d6. I go e5. Um, obviously e6 too. Then they bring their bishop down to the seventh rank, and the king's looking pretty sad at this point, I feel like. Because I definitely feel like I had a better position. I then threatened the knight with that pawn move. And then the knight retreated back to where it was. So that's what I'd like to correct. It's one of the things. Yeah, the knight retreated for a good reason. It wasn't stupid. It just wanted to be back where. I mean, if you're going to die, you might as well die from a. And then that was the funny part. Here's the thing. The knight moving was on purpose. The goal was for that to happen, and then me to take the queen. It was a decoy move. I've just learned about decoy moves. Just learned about them, and have been applying them a lot. So like, okay, move this. Act like I really want that knight, man. So great. So what we do is, how do we get that? Push this pawn up. This I did plan out quite a bit. My moves, boop, boop, and then take, and that got the AI. So that was cool. I like it. I haven't been on my game. I haven't been thinking as much. But this game I did think. So then I just targeted their. I made sure the queen was safe first, and then I targeted their rook. That's all I did. Just looked around the board and every piece. Said, okay, it looks like every piece the bishops are blocked in. Rook doesn't have much moves. The knight can move, but not far enough away to get to me. Okay, so I'm good. No pawns can seem to be away. It seems like I have better since my queen's like basically centralized. It's like a wing kind of queen. It's got a lot of control. I wouldn't fuck with it. You know, you have a queen on e3, and it's really open. It's kind of hard to fight you if you have a knight right next to it. I actually like a position like that. Imagine if there's a bishop defending the two. Or like the queen defending that wouldn't work. Queen defending queen would work, but I don't know how you'd really do that. I need to look more into making the most of weak pieces. But you can see, Side decided to move to b6, queen b6, and then they moved their pawn down to h5. I just went over to attack. I wasn't gonna trade anything, because of the bishop there. They moved. I moved my bishop in defending the queen. They took my pawn. I moved my rook there. Now they do move that knight in stealthily. So they moved their stuff down. Okay, they moved their stuff down, and they got me. So kind of. I mean, I am. What am I at this point? You guys seem better than me. 7-up. I'm 7-up. So I hate the pop that I am. Anyway, so I moved this up. They decided to move that pawn down again. Then I decided to take here. They did not take me back. I thought that was weird, but I took them. Now, meanwhile, they're moving that knight along, and I'm completely missing the fact they're moving that knight. I'm going for the serious game, trying to get the rook. And they are secretly maneuvering. I check. I check again. They take my knight. That was a convenient stepping stone for them to get to this part. Bastards. I could have easily just moved it out of the way. Yet I didn't. I might even for you guys just, we gotta add this to, we gotta save the game, man. We have to save to, the archives, man. We have to save to the library. We'll go to practice games 1200. You can see here, Engine 1200. We're gonna add another game to Engine 1200. I know I only have 9 games added. I add a lot less games than you would think. I only add a few. So basically, what happens is the knight takes. I'm now down a rook. They're down a rook, and now I'm down a queen too. So now he is 4 pawns up. Black's 4 pawns up now. Because of my dumbass, right? But material does not matter. What matters is intelligence. And as you can see from those rook moves and the king moves, I am lacking a lot of it. But at least I got rid of their other rook. So now all I have is a bishop and a knight versus a king and a pawn, which is a complete and utter failure on their part in every regard. Especially since after a certain point, I was pre-moving everything. In fact, I was pre-moving like on and off this entire thing right here. I got pre-moving trying to take the thing. That was definitely pre-move the taking it. Then I decided a bit on the that pawn. And then I just decided I would move here so I could get closer to that other pawn. And then just check the king continuously while getting pawns. And the king tries to defend the pawn, so I just took their pawn. Check. Check. They took my pawn. So then I was like, okay. There was a missed one where I could have walked the other pawn up and just made another queen or another rook and then just checkmated them that way. Or I could do the whole queen in game like that, which I like that better. But, whatever. So the game's been saved. It's weird that the game 5 mistakes, 8 blunders. Jesus Christ, it's a lot of blunders considering one. I had another one that made it was a lot more than that. Well, I mean, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry about the audio quality in the last one. Yeah. The main thing I wanted to talk about was that knight, the pawn moving up the queen. Because if we go back to that, that was a little unreasonable of me to say because I just felt stupid after saying it. Because if we go back to this, we get a nice Sicilian beginning, and then we have some stuff here that happens. You know, castle's queenside. That takes, forcing the knight back. Knight takes, which is desirable in this instance. And then we have pawn takes. Then after pawn takes, that pawn right there. See, actually, like right after this knight moves, I can take. They took the knight. Why did they take the knight? Is a good question. Do you really need to? Can what exactly danger does it have? It doesn't seem like it can go too many places without being terribly defeated in almost every way. I suppose, actually, never mind. You could put it over to where the other knight is, and then you'd end up trading off knights, but I don't see that as likely. You could also, I don't see that this is why they had such a high value of capturing it, but I guess instinct told me that they would. I used to write stuff and it would have all this symbolism in it. I would think these teachers are so stupid; they're falling for my fake symbolism. Then I realized it's not fake. It's actually you just didn't realize you were doing it. Like I probably did on some level realize this was gonna happen. Because you are like, as much as we think of like AI as a big fancy thing now, it's based on neurons, and you are an artificial neural network. So all you need to do is expose yourself to it and try to do it and continuously try, and your intelligence basically it rewires itself automatically. You can just chill and like think about it and like think, okay, do I do that? Do I do this? And the neural network goes stronger as you use it. So you can think of yourself as a contraption, a neurological contraption in that sense. So when you're playing chess, you're trying to get, you're trying to train a neurological contraption to understand how to play chess. So like it's gonna pick up patterns, and you might not be able to describe what patterns you see. You might just see them. Like you might just see some opportunity that comes to you, or see something that looks very scary as irrelevant, like I do a lot of the time. I'm never afraid in a chess game. I'm only like, oh shit, I'm gonna lose. So that's my state of affairs. I really need to get. I think I need a better opening repertoire. Like, know what to expect more and really think about it. Because sometimes I'll respond wrong to certain openings. As you've seen a million times now, we have this really boring check fest and then the queen. And actually, we might take a little bit of intermission. I might show you something else. So why don't we do that real quick? We might be able to. Let's see. Let's take an let's take an intermission, and let's see if we can do that. Uh, All right, hey, we're about to be back right now, but I don't know if the visuals will be correct. We're going to see here and hope for the best. It looks like they are. Looks like our visuals are good. All right, we're set. Yeah. Everybody should feel really pumped, because chess. No, I'm just kidding. I like chess. It's obviously I wouldn't be doing this otherwise. All right, so here's a game I played. I started out like a kind of a King's Indian, and then just push that up there. Did that kind of pawn structure, really classical kind of. Did you see that like snap snap? I also could have. Yes, for those of you who are wondering, I could have taken this way, but I didn't. I probably should have, but it develops this one closer, and then I'm that much closer to whenever this knight moves to, any of its little squares. I can then just move on. Look at how much a knight has access to. It's insane. And then just take each one of those and just go like. It's so weird, so bizarre. Oh my god. I wonder what happens if you connect all the night patterns. Like you start at one position, you connect just all the night patterns. That'd be very interesting to see. Alright, so let's continue on with this. So it just, King's Indian, typical stuff, typical kind of formation. They take my knight, I take back. I wanted to maybe take with the knight, that would have been cool. Because then I would have been defending the pawn. There'd be two defenders on the pawn. So there's one, and I like that idea. This is just one I picked up, so we're gonna go through some funny games. We might do another one of these. I don't know how the intermission went, or if you could hear me. I hope not. I was farting very loud. No, I'm just kidding. Now there seems to be a lot of negotiation going on here. This feels like a game of negotiation. If you notice, it's very negotiative. We're like putting pawns up, and then they take my knight. It's like, do you want to take my bishop with your knight or your bishop? And I chose my bishop. I don't know why I didn't choose my knight, because then I would be. I don't know. I guess I'm still up. No, I'm not up material. Why am I not up material in this? Oh, because he took my knight, so they consider him both three. So I consider a bishop worth more. I think I should be 0.25 up. So then we push those up. We kind of retract the bishop to attack the queen because the rook's next to it, so the queen can't take. So let me roll on that. That needs some description. So basically, what's going on here is so let's look at this from the King's Indian. I'm doing this from a two white focus view. All right, so we do the King's Indian, but we're ignoring black. So it's we go G2 or G3, and they go C5. We ignore their C5 and their what seems to be a prepared London. And instead of what we do is this. We go for sort of fianchetto, and then what happens is we just push these two up. We push up. We play D3. Then they play the same. They kind of copycat us. They fianchetto. You saw that how it worked. It went in the order of G3. They played C5. We played knight F3. They played knight F6 or knight C6. Now we fianchettoed. They put it. They prepared to fianchetto. We pushed up our D pawn or queen pawn. They fianchettoed. Now we pushed up the main pawn, which gets us central and wing control. Now, if we get the other knight out there, we have full control over the center. Not the entire center, which we want, but if we get the other knight out, we have most of it, to be honest with you. Most of it is controlled. And now it's basically just, yeah, it's pretty good. That is pretty good control over the center. I like the ability to adapt. I can take it with the queen, but it's good to keep that weaker piece more vulnerable at the start, and maybe connect your rooks. There we go. Yeah. See now how black is doing it is different here, though. Their fiend cat out, and then they brought their bishop there, and then they put that pawn up. I guess to support the other one. So they played d6, and now they have a kind of pawn chain. That's cool. And their white squared bishop is blocked in. Their black is, I believe. You could probably fix that somehow by. Oh wait, no, it's not because they fianchettoed. Yeah, they did fianchetto. Okay, so it's not. So they got a perfectly functional thing. Um, hmm. Maybe close it off around the night a little bit, so there's no like. Well, then the queen can get out, I guess. But you could just like put the b pawn. You could play b5. I'll wait for context to determine. But then they move out here, targeting the bishop. Then I move my knight there. They move their queen out to b7. After queen to b7, I play b3. The reason I did this, I didn't want them taking the second pawn and trying to, hit me with that. I'll take your rook stuff. And they took there, and I took there, and then castled. Now, they moved their queen, kind of weird. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, as a response, I decided to move the queen here, queen up there. They then did that. I didn't care. I had a plan. I push up the pawn. That's kind of a challenge. And basically move this down here so that I could attack the queen while defended by the rook. You can see the pawn, the queen, the bishop, the rook, and then on the light squared bishop. They're all in kind of a big harmony session. Now, if that one bishop takes the knight, there's no consequences that I can. Aside from being taken by the queen, but I wouldn't really want to move the queen that much. It's mainly the rook that's the catalyst of the good fortune, though. So then we push this up, and they end up taking that. I think I might have discussed this on my other channel. So I just pushed my pawn up. They captured. I captured, threatening that. Then I pushed this pawn up. They moved their queen out of the way and just accepted the death of that knight. Let me open up a file for my rook, semi-open file. And then they decided to take my knight. I decided to not care, and yeah, that happened. Now, about not caring, it's not the best advice in life, and in chess, it's definitely not good advice. But I never claimed I was your teacher. I just wanted to show you my progress. It's an entirely self-centered endeavor. I have made progress. I'm not saying you will. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You will. You just gotta practice. That's all there is to it. So I just moved my rook down. I was trying to think of moves to do. So they try to attack my rook here. I move my thing up, avoiding their rook attack. I just took there, trying to get after the queen, and just even though they moved in a perfect way for me to get after them. So they took, I took, they took. I moved like that. They tried to check me. I took their bishop or their rook. I moved up here. I was trying to attack the queen. I attacked the queen, got taken. Now I had two rooks against one, so I was fine with that. And then I took that rook, and I have more games like this, but some of them are in my collection, so I haven't gotten to them. This is just a double feature for tonight, so yeah. Hopefully it works well. If there are any audio glitches or anything where I was like, right before the break, let me know. I think there probably was, but that's cool for now. I'm gonna refine it. I need to get used to muting myself and stuff. So anyway, game goes down to this. Rook gets taken. Pawn moves up. King moves up. Queen moves to b3. Then the rook moves to f5. After rook to f5, we have queen to d5. Queen d5 results in rook takes on d5. After rook takes on d5, rook over to d2. Rook takes on d2. Bishop takes on d2. And then we have the legendary g fucking 5. This one's definitely not made for kids because it includes anything I make. I mark it as not made for kids. Now, I don't age restrict it, but I mark it as not made for kids if it has foul language in it. I don't believe that's appropriate. I think it should be age restricted. Or, I mean, not age restricted, but I think it should be noticed that it's not made for kids at least if it has foul language in it. I don't know what YouTube does about that, but they probably don't. I hope they don't recommend it to kids. So let's review. So this rook got captured, but I got it back, so I'm equal there. But I kept this rook for quite some time. And I was trying to score the pawn up. And it got really, 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 really weird, as you see. Because you'll see that, like, I kept trying to get some edge over the king, and then here's where it kind of got good. I wanted, this bishop just down the sidelines, because we're going to have to end that cliffhanger on the computer later. And that's the checkmate, basically. So, bishop chase was going on a long time ago. Bishop and rook chasing. We eventually reduced the enemy army down to nothing after a slow battle and captures and gunfights, shots in different places. Things moved to different things. So yeah, there you go. That's how it looks in fast motion. And since this is a double feature, I don't want to get on too long. But the King's Indian attack, this looks like a kind of interesting game. I didn't make that many blunders or mistakes. This is still when a little while ago when I was pretty, I don't know, new. So I just kind of went with stuff I made stuff up as I went along. I would read stuff and look at openings, but I would just kind of add my own little flourishes to them. Like what I think adding a little bit of common sense sometimes works. I think this is a more decisive win than I got most recently. But I will tell you that you ever go through, has anyone in the comments ever had so they practice something so much they're actually not that great at it anymore, they like get burnt out on it? Does that ever happen to anyone? Is that like a real thing, or am I just wishful thinking? Am I just a loser? Serious question, man. So anyways, yeah, we have this, I gotta get back to where I was. This rapid, it's actually pretty positional. I didn't know it was this boring until I saw it. Look at that. And all these pieces come and defend each other in a really annoying This is like one of the more mathematical games I've had to play against such a low rating. Like geometrical. With the sharp lines and... So then you get the queen. And then that was it. Simple, basically, queen, check, over to the side, check, up, check, or not check. I don't know. I didn't. He couldn't move across. Then since the two files are controlled, that was it. Over. Anyway, so that's the end of that. That's the whole game. It's kind of interesting to see it. I love playing the King's Indian, so I just sorry I keep replaying this. I'm really sorry. It's kind of addictive to watch. Just even though it's just a pathetic amateur game, and I'm a lowly soul. I aspire to be better, and I aspire to have better games, like just way better games than just this crap. Where like there's more competition and more, I don't know, just more overall. Yeah, it's really fun to do. I think it looks beautiful when you watch it in just like tap 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 tap. Oh, who's calling me at this hour? Tap 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 tap. It's so smooth, and then you see the geometric like moves, especially towards the end game where it gets more calculation based. That's where I like it. In the middle of the game is like so many variables, so it's not really quantifiable. But like you notice here, so I want to show you something. So you have this bishop lined up here, then you have the rook right here, and any of these squares on this file it controls. That's why the king can't move like down here, here, or here. It can only move like this way or this way. So sadly, poor king can't do that because the castle's kind of like an actual wall. So it makes walls down and up. So it'll make it up too. Whoops, that's not the thing I wanted. Whoops, that's also not the thing I wanted. It'll make it up. So it'll be like this, 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 this. And then it'll be like the same thing for the other rows. And you'll have basically that. So that's the story on that one. You want to be careful. But there is something significant. I'm going to show you. So you have this over here. Don't worry, it's not going to stay empty for too long. I'm going to highlight it. There you go. That's that. Why do I put it like that? Because that, my friends, is what I used to call a lock-on point. I would, I guess, now call it like a geometrical point. Because basically you want to attack that shit. And you want to move one of your pieces to it. Why? Well, you'll see. See that? King moved out of the way. I now can move this pawn straight up to victory. Oh, I played this one on my phone. I remember this. I have a video up about it already. So you got a double feature of this reviewed on my computer. But see how lock-on points did play a role? So they played a role. Now, here's another example of lock-on points. So you poop. Now, the queen goes from here, where she is now, to there. The king goes there. So what happens? What's the thought process? Well, the two ways to check the king. You can go there. You can go there, but the king's in the way. Or alternatively, weirder yet, you can do weird stuff. I mean, you can just do absolutely weird things. You can possibly hit him diagonally. Yeah, you can go that way and hit him like that. And he can't go that way because that's in your diagonal reach. This whole diagonal is owned by you. So you can do that too. Kind of want to see that on analysis. But anyway. Then this diagonal is owned by our bishop. Oops. This diagonal right here. So you can see how this endgame is going to be very challenging given the amount of real estate owned by both of these, which we'll cover up. Oh, and then don't forget the king itself. So there's the king at least is not allowed in one space of that, so we can say that that's controlled territory. So yeah, that's like a large amount of the board is under control there. Sorry I had to lean up and get something. My bad. So yeah, a large amount of area. Okay, but just to notice that the point was back here. See there. That's what I mean with a lock-on point. So it's a point. It's like the inverse of a discover check. So you're playing chess. You don't. Something is almost attacking you. You know, just shy. Then you move another piece in, and now it is straight up attacking you, and it can't be stopped. Lock-on points are how you checkmate. Lock-on points are how you do a lot of stuff in chess, in my opinion. Lock-on points are basically a symbol for geometry in chess, because a lock-on point would be like this. And in this case, it would contain this square. And we can connect it like this. And yeah, something like that. That set of squares, and then various other mathematical divisions that are too precise to really do here. Then we move this down to split it off from the rest of the, you know, society here. And just it's forced to watch our pawn just walk up the board. Then at the point of, this is more geometry, so the queen could get it a checkmate in several different ways. I chose that way instead of the diagonal one, although the diagonal is cooler. You could go like boop, and then let's see if I can do anything here. I'm not sure. We'll just keep going. So we'll just do whatever. Say that. Where can they move to? They move to like right here. Okay, then say they did that. Then what we do is we just move down. They move up. I don't know why you would move up there. We can't move up there. We'll just move this way. They'll move this way. We'll move this way. They'll move this way. We'll move this way. They'll move this way. We'll move this way. They'll move this way. Am I good? So then we would go like, probably like, You'd go, You go, Go, Oh, wait, I didn't even need to do that. I could have just done this. I think that's checkmate. So let's make another variation here. Let me make another variation like that. We're going to make another variation like that. Well, it's going to be a lot smarter. So, since we have a rook and all that, why don't we go, back here to start this moronic variation. Let's make a different variation. Alright, so we're going to go to this. We're going to hit that. He's going to go up. We're going to go up. He's going to go up. I go up. And now I have g6 check. He goes that way. I go that way. He goes, can he go this way? Can he go? I think he can only go two ways. Can you go that way? You have to go this way. See us that way. Gets checked. Go that way. Gets checkmated. All right, there we go. That's a better one. I like that because it's got some artistic style to it. You know what I mean? So then you go from that. King b4, j equals queen. Can I promote variations here? Let's see if I can promote variations, alright? Let's see if I can promote them. Alright, so let's see. Promote variation. You can delete it. That's not useful. Alright, well, that's not very helpful, chess.com. Why do you guys do that to me? Alright, so basically we got this cool. Look at that. Look at how cool that is. Even that one, even the shitty one, which we could just easily end with like this. At like any time, no less. Like you didn't even have to take that long. Like we should wait till. Okay, so here's how this is gonna go. Right when you get here, you do that. You just go. That's another one. There's a lot of ways you could easily win this that I didn't think of before. There's like 60 miss wins right here, right off the bat, but who cares? All right. Well, that's all you're gonna get for now. I had a hard ass time today. I practiced for 8 hours, lost a bunch. It really sucked, man. I mean, I really sucked, man. I hated it. I hated every bit of it. We went on a nice intermission. I hope this explains that whole game to you. What I was intending, and you know what I meant. Like, you know, what kind of a we had they were going for Sicilian. I went King's Indian. They did standard Sicilian stuff. I did standard King's Indian stuff, or maybe not standard. I don't know. I won, so that's what I count. So the real game as follows: exchanging a bunch of pieces like a noob. This was, I think, a while ago. I don't know. I never see when I actually first played it. There you go. Checkmating Palooza. We got to see that like 22 times. I'm just looking at it because I'm honestly. Oh. I'm just looking at it because I'm honestly interested in that kind of stuff. Like, I'm honestly interested in what makes chess tick. For those of you who want to know, I am a computer programmer who I work on artificial neural networks. I work on a lot of that stuff, and I'm very, very, very opinionated on that. I'm very, very, very willing to talk about it. Very, very willing to make arguments with people that may think they're smarter than me or may think they're better than me because they have a degree. But I'm going to tell you, I am a very good logician and I'm a very good practitioner of rhetoric. And I think I'm working on a chess system. I guess you could say it's using technology as it should be used to get us the ability to play chess better. That's how I think you should use it. You should take the empirical data the technology gives you. So my contention would be, with my experience in both expertise in psychology, neuropsychology, cognitive neuropsychology, which is my major, and artificial neural networks. Artificial neural networks are constructions that can be attached to a hardware. So you run software on a hardware system. It's free electrons flowing around in a complex, controlled, ordered way because the manufacturer put together a series of circuits, components, capacitors, inductors, and whatnot, transistors, to create a device called a computer, and an operating was installed on that computer, and now people use that computer to program it. They program it with various capabilities. People are writing new code every day. There's two ways to dissolve chess. You can either guess trillions of moves per second, or you can use AI. And really, what it comes down to is my perspective on this is that Leela is no better than a human, and Leela's starting to show that Stockfish, the brute force robot super way, is actually not as good as a human in some respects. Because Leela started playing clearly more human-like, an attacking style, Fisher-like kind of stuff. So my question is, so we modeled intelligence after artificial neural networks are modeled after us humans, human beings' brains. You know, so it would stand to reason to me if you and I were actually like quite intelligent life forms. Like maybe we are, man. Like maybe we actually have some worthwhile, some value to us. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just tripping. But yeah, man. I really think that that's something we should probably consider. That we made Leela Zero. It's the problem is I didn't even mention what we have to consider. What I have to consider is it processes 40 million games in like a very short amount of time. Human neurons. I took it as a given what I said. It's implicit, but I forgot. I have to explain it to you guys. Okay, so look, human neurons. The only reason they can't. Oh wait, why can't you play 40 million games of chess with a grandmaster? Don't say because I don't know one. Assume you knew one. Why can't you play that many games with them? Because people have counted to large numbers, like 1,000 and stuff, right? Those people took like a month to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Albeit it gets longer as you do it, but so does chess. Now imagine playing a 1 million games of chess, or 40 million or whatever Little Zeros played. Now imagine that. Can you imagine playing that much? I sure can't. I can't imagine it at all. By the way, we're going to be getting new imagery for the background setting. I'm going to shrink my image back down so you don't have to look at my ugly mug. Maybe our secret's spilled. My secret is that I'm just using one of the basic kind of design templates I got in. I just got my camera all small here, kind of hiding it back because it looks tacky otherwise. But you might have seen a little bit of it. I just like how it looks this way. I think it looks perfectly fine this way. I don't know how well you guys can see me. This has been outputting the videos at like very low like SD quality or something. Anyway, what I'm getting at is though, so they made a little brain, and I'm into neural network program. I'll give you kind of lowdown. So you have several sets of several kind of like a set of networks. Each one is a bunch of connections. Connections to what? Well, basically, one computer process will send another process a signal saying, "Hey, I've returned this value. This is your activation level," and then it will go to another number between 0 and 1, and it'll like 0.55, and that's 56%. And maybe if it's above 56, it then has to hit this neuron and go to that neuron, and then this neuron, that neuron, and each one of these connections. So like it goes, say, neuron A1, B1, 2, 1, 3 is connected to A1, neuron A1, B1, 2, 1, 4. So A1, B1, 2, and 4 decides that he's going to, send his return value is 0.33.6. So that means that if that one is low, we know this thing is now it's assigned each of these outputs from these neurons as they connect to each other. Each of those chains, like this neuron to this neuron to this neuron to this neuron to this neuron, and it being processed by that whole net of numbers from one, each of those numbers from one and zero, and each of those chains of connections. Well, each of those is an activity or an action. In this case, a chess move, right? This is how AI works. So each of those sort of neurons, this is a watered down version, but each of those neurons, they're not really neurons, they're floating point values. They have a threshold of activation, and once they reach a certain threshold, they activate, and then it's passed through another chain of um, possible behaviors that are attached to, you know, numbers, and they have each number between 0 and 1. If it the close, they have some cutoff point that is obviously below 100%, somewhere like, and it can adjust, and then they have the machine will mathematically weight, and by that I mean add a weight or a multiplier or a divider to make certain ones less likely. By when you get to the end of the project, when you're training a neural network, after you're done, what happens is it gets informed that every time it's wrong, and every time it's wrong, it tries to check. Okay, well, I'm going to de-weight that action, so it's going to make it less likely to happen. It's going to make the threshold for activation way higher. Whereas for another thing, it'll make the threshold of activation way bigger if it finds the right thing that always works. Well, this is almost a guaranteed way to find the right answer because this complex network of numbers is always going to go through and find the right answer. And that's basically what we are. We are that. Now, the thing that gives that life is physicality, material. In our case, neural networks are biological, though, and they're very finite. They're very subject to decay. They're very subject to biological torment. We're constantly aging, much more than a machine is. So my argument here today is that actually I think we're superior, if not equal, to machines, because machines function in a world made by us where they're in a clinical, lab tested, cut off from the real world, cut off from real hardship, suffering, whatnot kind of world. And I would say that if you were to tell me that Lila Zero Stockfish 14 is better than a human and has 3,200 elo, I would say, well, what other human has played 40 million games with anyone? You can't play that many games. That's the problem. If you could stay immortal and young forever without your neural network or cognitive abilities, then maybe you could do it. You could just and you could play millions of games with yourself and whatnot. But until that happens, until the player has gotten as much experience as the little miniature neural network, I don't care. Because it's modeled after a neural network. It's basically the same principle. Certain pathways fire, and they fire more often if they're rewarded, essentially. So you weight the pathway so that it fires. It doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have feelings. It's just, if this number goes past this threshold, then it runs this function, and that means it prints to the screen the move D4, and you then move the pieces D4. And Gary Kasparov looks at you funny because you're really weird, and you're one of the IBM staff that was doing Deep Blue. But yeah. I don't know how Gary Kasparov felt then. Anyway, get out of here, you schmucks. We're ending soon. This program has been brought to you by Go Fuck Yourself Incorporated. Thank you for watching.